Today, in this video, we will learn about the transportation in human beings. Transportation is the movement of the material from one part of the body to another. Transportation occurs in all the organisms from the microscopic one to a large one. In class 9th, we will learn about the blood being a fluid connective tissue. It is the main circulating medium that helps in the transport of various substances. It consists of a fluid or a liquid component called plasma and cellular components like RBC, WBC and platelets. First, we will read about the heart. It is a muscular organ big as our fist, reddish brown in color and situated in between the lungs. It has different chambers to prevent the oxygen-rich blood from mixing with the blood containing carbon dioxide. The heart is divided by septa into two halves, that is, right and left. Each half consists of two chambers, that is, upper atrium and lower ventricle. Thus, the heart has four chambers, that is, right atrium, right ventricle and left ventricle, as shown in the figure. There are valves between the left atrium and left ventricle and between the right ventricle. This valve provides one-way passage and prevent the return of blood. The valves of the heart are made up of a cardiac muscle. The sequence of the event which take place during the complete one heartbeat is called a cardiac cycle. It involves the repeated rhythmic contraction and relaxation of the heart muscle. The contraction is called systole and the relaxation is called diastole. We can follow the step as shown in the figure 6.11. The oxygen-rich blood from the lungs enters the left atrium. The left atrium relaxes when it is collecting the blood. Then it contracts while the next chamber, that is the left ventricle, expands so that the blood is transferred to it. From the left atrium, the blood is transferred to the left ventricle through a bicuspid valve. From the left ventricle, the blood is pumped to various parts of the body through aorta. The oxygenated blood from the lungs enters the left atrium through the pulmonary veins. Then the deoxygenated blood from various parts of the body is poured onto the right atrium through a large vein called vena cava. As the right atrium contracts, the corresponding right ventricle expands and the blood through tricuspid valve gets collected. It then pumps it to the lungs for oxygenation by pulmonary arteries. In the lungs, this blood becomes oxygenated and returned to the heart by the pulmonary veins. The blood circulation in the human heart is the double circulation. This means the blood passes through the heart twice. One circulation involves the entry of the blood from all the parts of the body. This blood is deoxygenated, which goes to the lungs for oxygenation. And the second circulation involves the entry of the oxygenated blood from the lung to heart and then to all the body parts. This system is important as it separates the oxygenated and deoxygenated blood to ensure the efficient supply of oxygen to the body cell, which help in the maintaining a constant internal temperature and allow birds and mammals to carry out body process more efficiently. Some animals like amphibians or many reptiles have three-chamber heart and tolerate some mixing of oxygenated and deoxygenated blood stream. Fish, on the other hand, have only two-chamber heart and the blood is pumped to the gills, is oxygenated there and passes directly to the rest of the body. Thus, the blood goes only once through the heart in the fish during one cycle of the passage through the body. You have heard the word many times, that is blood pressure. What do you mean by blood pressure? The force that blood exerts against the wall of the vessel is called as the blood pressure. It is measured by an instrument called sphygmomanometer. Our next topic is blood vessels. Blood vessel is further divided into arteries, veins, and capillaries. Arteries are the vessels which carry blood away from the heart to various organs of the body. Since the blood emerges from the heart under high pressure, the arteries have a thick and elastic wall. Second is your veins. They are the tube with thin wall that carry a impure or deoxygenated blood from all over the body towards the heart. Third one is your capillaries. Capillaries are very thin tube which connect arteries with vein. Exchange of water, food and gases between the cell and the blood takes place through capillaries. Next is your platelets. Platelets are tiny blood cells that help your body form clot to stop bleeding. If one of your blood vessels gets damaged, it sends out signal to the platelets. The platelet then rush to the site of the damage. They form a plug or clot to fix the damage. Next is your lymph. These are another type of fluid also involved in the transportation. Through the pores present in the wall of the capillaries, some amount of plasma, protein and blood cell escape into the intercellular space in the tissue to form the tissue fluid or lymph. It is similar to the plasma membrane of the blood but are coralless and contain less amount of protein. Now we will read about the transportation in plant. Plant transport various substances like gases, mineral, water, hormone and the organic solute to the short distance or to the longer distance to the entire plant. Plant take in carbon dioxide, that is a photosynthesized energy stored in their chlorophyll. Beside carbon dioxide, plant need other raw material for growth. This raw material like nitrogen, phosphorus, etc. they get from the soil by the process of absorption by roots. This raw material need to be transported to each and every part of the plant, mainly to the leaves. Plants have two different independent transport pathways. One is xylem that move water and mineral from soil to the aerial part, and the other is phloem which carry food and hormone from the region of availability to the areas of utilization. The basic function of xylem is to transport water from root to stem and roots, but it also transports the nutrients. As the plant has an adequate supply of water, the water which is lost through the stomata is replaced by water from the xylem vessel in the leaves. Thus, the transpiration helps in the absorption and the upward movement of water and minerals dissolved in it from root to the leaves. It also helps in the temperature regulation. During the day when the stomata are open, the transpiration pool becomes the major driving force in the movement of water in the xylem. Phloem is the living tissue in the vascular plant that transport the soluble organic compound made during the photosynthesis. This transport process is called translocation. The phloem transport amino acid and the other substance which are essential for the plant growth. The translocation of food and the other substance take place in the sieve tube with the help of adjacent companion cells both in upward and downward direction. Material like sucrose is transferred into phloem tissue using the energy from ATP. So the xylem help in the transportation of water and phloem help in the transportation of food. Our next topic is excretion. Excretion is a biological process of elimination of harmful metabolic waste product from the body of an organism. The mode of excretion is different in different organisms. Many unicellular organisms remove this waste by simple diffusion from the body surface into the surrounding water. while complex multicellular organisms use specialized organ for excretion. Now we will learn about excretion in human beings. The excretory system of human beings include a pair of kidney, a pair of uterus, a urinary bladder, and a urethra. A pair of kidney takes away waste material, nitrogenous waste such as urea and uric acid from the blood to form urine. Uterus are the long tube which connect kidney with the urinary bladder. Third one is urinary bladder. It is a muscular sac which collect and store the urine until the disposal from the body. And fourth one is your urethra. It is a tube that lead from the bladder and discharge urine outside the body. Now we will read the mechanism how is urine produced. The purpose of making urine is to filter out the waste product from the blood. Just as the carbon dioxide is removed from the blood in the lungs, nitrogenous waste such as urea and uric acid are removed from the blood in the kidney. So the basic filtration unit is the kidney. A kidney has more than 1 million of nephrons, which is the fundamental functional unit of kidney. A nephron is divided into two parts, that is the glomerulus and the renal tubule. The glomerulus is a tuft or a branch of capillaries that perform the first step in the filtering blood to form urine. Next is your renal tubule. It begins with a double-walled cup-like structure called the Bowman capsule. This is the cup-like structure which is known as your Bowman capsule, which encloses the glomerulus. The glomerulus along with the Bowman capsule is called the Malpighian body or the renal corpuscle. The renal tubule continue further to form a highly coiled network proximal convoluted tubule. The next part of the tubule, which has an ascending and a descending limb, is called as your loop of Henle. And then the loop of Henle further passes into a straight tube called as your collecting duct. The process of clearing the blood of waste in the nephron occur in the three stages, that is filtration, selective reabsorption, and tubular secretion. First is your filtration. It occurs when the blood enters the glomerulus under the high pressure, which cause the water and small solute to pass through capillary wall of glomerulus and Bowman capsule and enter the renal tubule of the nephron. The large molecule remain in the blood of the glomerulus. The filtrate contain water, glucose, salt, urea, and vitamin. Second is your selective reabsorption. Some molecule of the glomerular filtrate travel back into the bloodstream. It occurs in the renal tubule. Glucose and other nutrient, water, and essential iron pass out to the renal tubule and enter the surrounding capillaries. Reabsorption involves both the diffusion and the active transport, which use energy in the form of ATP. The waste containing fluid that remain after the reabsorption is urine. The third and last one is your tubular secretion. It is the active secretion of the waste product into the urinary tubule. It ensures the removal of all the waste product from the blood and maintain the ionic balance of the body fluid. And the urine is stored in the urinary bladder until the pressure of the expanded bladder lead to the urge to pass it out through the urethra. The bladder is muscular, so it is under the nervous control. As a result, we can usually control the urge of to urinate. So this is a dialysis. Dialysis is one of the treatment of the kidney failure by using a dialysis machine, which become a supplement or an artificial kidney. Now we will learn about the excretion in plant. Cellular respiration, photosynthesis, and other metabolic reaction produce a lot of excretory product in the plant. They use a completely different strategies for the excretion than those of the animal. Oxygen itself can be thought of a waste product generated during the photosynthesis. Excretion of the gases water take place by diffusion through the stomatal pores on the leaf and also via lenticles. Excess of water also diffuses through the stomatal pore during the transpiration. Plant cells have large vacuole which can be used for the storage of the waste substance. Some plants actively secrete the waste compound into the soil. Metabolism in the plant also generate the organic byproduct which are stored in the different form in the different part, especially in the old xylem which is no longer used for the water transport. For example, gum, oil, resins, etc. are some of the waste product stored in the plant part like the bark, stem, leaves. Eventually, these parts are shed off. So here we complete the first chapter of biology. Here you have to write all the in-text question and answer as well as the exercise one. That's all for today's video. Thank you.